So yeah, I mean, getting this thing started, how would you describe what it is that you do and what it is that you speak on online?
Yeah, good one. Yes. Um, so a couple of people asked me why I'm doing those videos. And I mean, there are a lot of stories that come up with that, and I could like talk about all those stories. But I think the story that I like most is that these videos are just happening and they are doing me instead of I am doing those videos, you know? So
Uh-huh.
it's I don't know why these videos are happening, and I don't get stuck with thoughts about why am I doing it and should I go on. And when I'm like it, when I feel like it, then I'm recording a video, and when I don't feel like it, then I don't. So
Mm-hmm. I see.
yeah, it's not so much strategy in that, you know. So it's just
Well, how
yeah.
would you describe what it exactly is going on in the videos? If it's just some kind of spontaneous expression, how would you describe what this expression is? Maybe to somebody that has no clue, they have no idea what is
All
going
right.
on.
Okay. So for beginners,
Yeah.
so there is this person called Wojtek Gorecki, right? And he um, did a lot of personal development, a lot of, I don't know, intro, like self inquiry, stuff like that, meditation, a lot of that stuff, and somehow had some kind of experiences, right? So that's at least what it looked like. So there was this person, and he had those experiences, and suddenly had the urge to share those experiences with other people, and started to record videos about something called non-duality, which is something like, I would say, a concept, a mental concept, which is for the brain, for the thinking mind, it's kind of frustrating because it's not really knowable. I can never understand it, but that's part of the concept.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah. So it's exploring a concept of no concept.
right. Yeah, right. So doing the impossible, or trying the impossible
Yeah.
over and over again, and having fun with that. So there is joy in recording videos and talking about that, about non-duality. There is joy around that, and a lot of stuff. I mean, it's content marketing, you know, all that internet stuff, business, blah 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 blah. So there's also, I think about that as well. So there are thoughts about like, oh, how can I do a business out of that? You know, make money with that. I want to live from that, and blah blah blah. And so the mind is already doing its thing. So, and I'm trying to like not get into that too much, because I think that going that path, like making a business out of it, would like somehow weaken the message, the power, the energy that is coming together with this message.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah. I know what you mean. Would take the enjoyment out of it, right?
yeah, totally.
Ultimately.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Now, why would you say that following the business path would negate the message?
It would not negate it, but I, I did a couple of videos that I did not upload because I thought, man, that's not, I don't feel it. You know, it was
Yeah.
just running down a script and repeating the same thing again. And somehow, nah, I did not like those videos. So I
Mm-hmm.
didn't upload them.
Yeah. So from how you described it, seems just like some kind of artistic expression, and it's quite unique because it's the message is how do I put this? It's, like you said, it's the message of no message. Like you're
Yeah.
guiding others to the concept of no concept.
Yeah.
It's tricky in that way.
Yeah. And I like that you're saying it's art. And I also had, um, a couple of times I had this very strong idea of this. Actually, this is like painting a picture. You know, you have your
Yeah.
colors and you're trying to paint this picture, and there's no way how to do it right, do it wrong. I mean, okay, you can do something that's not really painting a picture, but in the end, who's gonna say you did it right, who you did it wrong, you know? So it's like, it's an artistic thing somehow. So it's not that you cannot be, there is no logic, no real logic. I mean, the concept also, of course, has some aspects. So you have to like get at least the basics of the concept of non-duality. But the part where, so I would say it that way. So duality is knowable. So, and you can like understand what is duality and what is dual, what is separation. You can really work with that very well. The brain is really, is built for that, you know, it's working with duality all the time. And the part where the non-duality starts. So it's good to have heard about the duality thing and then do the step into non-duality and suddenly realize, all right, so wow, so all that dual stuff now non-dual. All right, I don't get it. So and that's the part where you're trying to, then you're just painting a picture, you know, doing art and
Yeah.
trying to like, I don't know, entertain people into this present moment. It's like, yeah.
Yeah. I feel as though art does that in a way. Really, really good art. It takes one outside of the thinking brain, outside of an orientation of just trying to create some kind of concept. It's just like when you see it or hear it, it just is.
Yeah.
And that's what I guess, if there is an essence to non-duality, that's the essence that you would want to guide someone toward, just a sense of just isness. Whether you're looking at the Mona Lisa or you're watching some kind of video, it's just bringing someone into the isness and out of the I gotta be here, I gotta do something, I gotta be somebody orientation of thinking. So in that way, I can see how it is a form of art and a quite new form of art, I would say.
Yeah.
At least in the medium that we're using. Interesting, man. So how, okay, I know there's no one size fit all to this thing, but if we can sort of generalize it, maybe you can give some examples. How do you guide one from this dualistic thinking into the non-dualistic thinking? Does it depend on the person, the circumstance, and how they bring it up to you?
Yeah, totally. It's so when I have my online sessions 1-to-1, so it's very intuitive and every person is so different. And sometimes I'm trying to search for where is the knot? Where do we need to untie something? So where's the resistance? Maybe where's so I imagine that like every seeker has this one point where he's like working on and is applying pressure here, pulling there. And so there's this one knot somehow. And, I think that might be the thing that could be valuable to look at that knot and just reflect on that and see, and just ask, are you aware of what you are doing right now? So are you aware that you're trying to do something that's actually not possible? So, so I can give you an example. So I had this one conversation with one dude, he was from Germany, I guess. And he said that he was a seeker for, I don't know, 30 years and had a hard time with that and was kind of upset with that, you know? And throughout the conversation, it seemed there was like an energetic shift when we could reframe that into what's wrong about seeking, you know, 30 years of seeking. Yay, cool. So why not? I mean, so So in the whole non-duality community, seeking is somehow something bad. People want to stop seeking, and that can get also like an obstacle, you know?
Yeah.
I'm trying really, really hard to stop seeking. So, well, why? Who said that there's something wrong about seeking? No one. It's just, again, a story that's creating something. And yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, the popular narrative, I feel as though in the non-dual sense, is to drop all story, all seeking, and to just be, right? Just be in the moment.
Yeah.
So I can see that, why that makes sense, but it's like you can't try to do that because then that just creates another knot.
Yeah. It's about relaxation, I imagine. So it's every time that when you try to do something, you are applying pressure somehow. You are contracting somewhere in the body. So I need to do something.
Yeah.
And that is, I mean, the self, the sense of being someone is rooted in the contraction in the body. So and this contraction is trying to overcome itself by contracting.
Yeah.
Does not work.
Oh, no, it doesn't work. It's quite interesting. Yeah, it's like these weird tricks and games that one has to play on this pathless path. I don't know. It's interesting because there is nothing to do. You could say, yeah, there's absolutely nothing you have to do. But then on the other side of the coin, it's like, well, there is something you have to do, but it's to find out that there's nothing to do. But in that sense, there is something to do. It's hard to explain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there is nothing to do does not mean nothing will happen. I mean, everything is already happening.
Yeah.
And this body here, this human body will happen tomorrow maybe, and do stuff and meditate, maybe not meditate, maybe go for a walk or write a book or whatever. So all that stuff maybe will happen. I don't know, but there is nothing that needs to happen.
It's a good way to put it. Yeah, it doesn't need to happen. Things will arise, come and go.
Yeah.
There's nothing that needs to happen. There's no need. I like that. Yeah, I feel as though in this mindset, we escape the need to be a certain way or not be a certain way. Now, would you recommend any kind of practices or modalities, or is that too general as well?
It also depends. So sometimes I meet people who already have, who are practicing stuff and meditating, doing psychedelics or whatever. So sometimes it might be useful to just drop that for a while, you know, just see what happens when you don't practice anything, like when you just see what happens when you do nothing, you know. And sometimes people, maybe it could be useful to meditate once in a while. I don't know. It's very, very individual.
I know what you mean. Yeah. So whatever one has to do to, I guess, slow down and just observe. Would you say that as a good general statement? Like to just like, hey, just slow down for a second. To just be.
Yeah.
And usually meditation is a helpful direction in that, right?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I mean, what keeps me busy, or at least this brain is quite busy with this idea of, okay, even when I say to someone, just like slow down, just observe what is, you know, I cannot be sure that the other person hears what I said, you know. It's what the receiving brain makes out of the heard message. I don't know. So it's like, it's pure chaos, you know. It's like, I'm just poked someone somewhere and I don't know what will happen with this person. And, so even saying to someone, hey, you could just like go for a walk and just breathe and do nothing, you know. I don't know what this person will make out of that.
Yeah. It's tricky, man. Yeah. So pretty much your sessions are you just being like a open container for others and it depends on the situation and what somebody brings to you and what you could say. And even you guiding and you saying something might not solve the problem per se or untie the knot. But you're just open, right? Would you say like it's just a general sense of openness with others that you bring in with your presence?
Yeah, this openness, I would describe it as when those conversations happen, then then there is like very little character over here. So like Wojtek is disappearing like a lot. So there's somehow also the awareness is somehow shifting, so that it's just like this conversation suddenly is happening. So no one is talking to like anyone. Yeah. And there's just a conversation happening, very spontaneous and very, sometimes it's just silence. Just sometimes I'm not saying anything because I don't have the feeling that I should say something. Sometimes it's, I don't know. Yeah. It's like some people don't like silence. So it's like, say something. I don't know what to say. And sometimes it's super relaxing. Like, finally nothing to say anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean. Guess it's whatever the moment brings about.
Yeah. It's like an experience. So these sessions, I imagine there are more about the experience itself rather than about what is being said. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. It's about this energetic shift that is happening in this conversation. It's like being in this moment, with this person, like just being together and maybe not saying anything can do so much.
Yeah. Like some kind of subtle transmission that happens beyond the symbolism of words.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes I was wondering if it might be something like this, this trust, you know? So I have the story of, I want to trust every moment, no matter what is happening, like trust in this present moment. It is all right, no matter how you feel, you know? So, and there is this, this feeling of being really sure about that. So, and I imagine that this is, sometimes that's the story. Like this could be something. When I talk to someone who's like really sure about this, then I'm like, all right, thanks.
I see.
Yeah.
So, would you say, I'm going with another general statement here, but we're just trying to like, trying to keep it somewhat general for the podcast, I guess.
Sure.
Now, would you say the idea of the non-dual perspective in a very simplistic manner is honing in on the moment? So whatever story or narrative that one has going on, that's cool, but it's like at the end of the day, it's bringing somebody into the here and now, and that's what it's all about. If you could keep it in a simple manner, would you say that that's the essence?
I mean, you can call it that way. In the end, if I would be like really, when I try to be really exact and stick to what really is, then I would say no, just a story, just another story, right? But we can call it that way. Yeah. And it's pointing to this present moment. So somehow when some shift is happening in awareness, then so this brain would also describe it as, it's bringing me to this present moment, to here and now, because that's the only thing that actually is. Like there is nothing else like this present moment right now, this conversation right now.
Yeah.
That's everything.
Right here, right now.
Right.
Yeah. Ram Dass has a statement that I always try to keep in the back of my head. He said, "Now is now. Are you going to be here or not?" it's kind of a joke, but it makes a lot of sense. Like, it's always now. You're going to be here or not.
Yeah. And if you try to remember a moment where like reality was not this present moment. You won't find any memory of that, right? So every memory of that you have of something that happened in this present moment. And that never changed.
Never will change.
No.
Yeah. That's what I find so intriguing about video and doing this stuff is we're recording this moment. It's like, it's so hard to convey, but it's kind of like magic. Like you're literally recording a novel moment in time. And we take it for granted because all of us have video cameras in our pockets. But when you really sit down and think about it, it's like, whoa, we're recording the moment, the here and now. And this here and now-ness is going to be the same here and now for somebody listening in the future, which they are in that here and now, but it's almost like a slightly different here and now that they're listening in their headphones. It's quite peculiar. I love video.
Yeah.
I think it's magic.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the story, yes.
Yeah.
And still there's a lot of separation in the story, right? So we could like deconstruct that story. That's sometimes something that I also like do with people that I talk to. It's just pause and let's see, okay, where is the duality? Where's the separation in that story that we just heard, right? So, and then you just look, oh, there's separation, which is not real. So, and there's another separation, which is also not real. And you deconstruct that and find yourself in a state of not like losing your mind, right? So there's like, I don't get any of this present moment. I don't get anything, right? So I have this thing here and the brain like creates this thought of, oh, that's a smartphone. That's a phone. I can use it to blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. But what that actually is, I have no clue. Right. So when you just take a close look and go into the subatomic view or whatever, so you won't find anything that you can grab, right? It's always just relationships, just particles hovering around each other. So there is just nothingness, right?
Yeah. It's all just energy in flux.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just movement, but you don't know what is moving.
You don't know. Essentially, it's just us, and not us as in like me and the body that you see now. That energy is like that is in the phone. It's in the screen, this microphone. Essentially, I feel, personally speaking, is that's me. Like I just feel as though like I am everything. It's like the center of no center, if that makes sense. That's how if you really want to get down to the nitty and gritty, I like to say it's like, that's me, but not even me. Cause it's like, it's not me that you see. It's the self of no self. That's within everything. It's just some kind of energy in flux. Like I said, that just appears and disappears.
Yeah. For the thinking mind, it's a paradox. So this dualistic machine is trying to process something that has nothing to do with separation. So it's at that point it gets paradoxical. Yeah. So I like to use the story of no perspective. So when there is no separation, there is also no perspective, like the seeing. So there's seeing happening, and the story or the illusion is the seeing is happening from this point towards this direction, like this. So that's the perspective. But then you could say, okay, but who's observing so who's seeing the seeing? Okay, there is no one seeing the seeing. So the seeing is happening. Okay. And then suddenly, when all those separations like implode, then suddenly there's a complete loss of perspective. And suddenly it's just, so this present moment is somehow doing the impossible. It's appearing as something that is like spacious. It has space, but actually it does not have space. So it's like just one point, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's really, really, strange, like magical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's impossible. At the end of the
Yeah.
day, it's impossible, and the truth is a paradox.
Yeah.
And there's only so many ways and labels that one could put on it. At the end of the day, they're all futile.
Yeah. And I can't even say if it's good or bad. So
Somewhere
it
in
just
between.
is, right? So that's something that triggered a bit anxiety for me. Like, is this good or is this bad? This happening? I don't know. This categories, you cannot apply those categories. Like, is this good that this is happening or is it bad that this is happening? I don't know.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. What? How? Wouldn't know. What? I need to know.
Yeah, right. I've had that pondering recently as well. I'm like, are we in heaven or is this hell?
Yeah. Right.
My mind, maybe I'm a little idealistic. It leans more toward heaven because I feel as though once one comes into the moment, there is this somewhat felt, indescribable, unfathomable love. And that love is just, it goes beyond the concept of love. But like feeling that and having that energy just run through leads me to believe that we're not in hell. It leads me to believe that this is actually by default some kind of good place, if you want to really simplify it in that way, because I felt some kind of love previously, and maybe I can feel it right now. I don't know.
Yeah.
Love gives me hope and faith, I guess. Maybe that's my idealism speaking. I don't know.
I get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
What comes to my mind when you say that is that sometimes I'm trying to find the love in moments where this present moment is like not very pleasant, like being sick, being angry. Something is really like, I don't like the present moment, and like where is the love in that, you know? So, and that's also something that that's a hurdle for people who are new to non-duality, like accepting the idea of that everything is unconditional love, like everything, like war, murder, I don't know what. So no matter how vicious it is that you come up with, how bad it might be, it's unconditional love. And that's something that a lot of brains have a hard time to process that somehow, to accept that it's everything is unconditional love, and everything is already perfectly fine and in order.
Yeah, that is tough, right? That is tough.
Yeah, it's tough. Yeah,
it's tough to reconcile that, because it's like, how are atrocities unconditional love? But it's like, I guess, I mean, how would I explain that? I don't even know. It's because the love is what's real. All of these so-called atrocities is just another phenomena that's essentially just an illusion within unconditional love.
Yeah.
I guess that's how I would try to describe it. But it's like just the fact that like those atrocities or horrible stuff can happen and yet they pass. I guess that is sort of loving in a way, the love of our freedom to be able to commit atrocities. I know that sounds crazy, but the fact that we have the freedom, we have the free will, at least maybe a conceived free will, to be able to do that. And then ultimately at the end of the day, even though there may be in some of these atrocities a lot of people being harmed, at the end of the day, what we really are is not harmed at all. It's like what this love is, this unconditional love is, how do I put this? It goes beyond any kind of harm or sickness or pestilence that the body could endure. And that is loving. But it comes with that mindset. It's hard to explain, man.
Impossible actually. So, but
exactly.
I think you're doing great.
I'm trying.
No, I think I don't use this term unconditional love so much anymore, because the term love is overloaded with all those meanings that people are projecting onto this term. So I think that most people, when they hear unconditional love, they are looking for something pleasant, something that for the body feels pleasant, that it's a good experience, like dopamine, serotonin, love. Yeah, right. But that's not, I think that's not what what is meant when it's used in context of non-duality.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it's more like this unconditional love is just a placeholder for this, also a placeholder for this present moment, which like makes possible that this present moment is just happening no matter what is happening, but it makes it possible that this is happening.
Oh,
So,
yeah. I
so
gotcha.
sometimes I like this thought of, when I have a bad day, when I'm having a bad day or whatever, so I don't feel well, then I ask myself, so what's the choice? Like, is the choice of feeling good right now versus feeling bad right now? Or is the choice feeling bad right now or not being at all? Like, and then I'm like, I think I like feeling bad. Oh, I like that somehow. It got easier. Like when the other choice is just not, this present moment is not happening at all. So it's life or not life.
That's good. Life or not life. It's a good way to put it. I like how you said the unconditional love makes it possible for this moment to happen. And in this moment, it could be some very dark things, but at least there is the happening. And that is held within the container of this so-called unconditional love.
Yeah.
Powerful stuff.
Yeah. And I had an experience where I had this like, it was like a thought or an image, I don't know. It was like that life or reality is perfectly balanced. So no matter how bad it is that is happening, that means that the other thing, the opposite is also there. It's available. Like, so when the bad is happening, the good is available, because it's every time this thing moves to one side, so then it's also moving to the other side simultaneously. It's creating this like a space of possible things, you know? So, and you need to have the good and the bad. So everything is, when it's in balance, all sides are there.
Yeah. It's all about the balance.
Yeah.
Wow. This is good. This is really good, man. Huh. Now, I want to go back to what you said about you had a bad day, you have the choice, right? There's a certain choice within the moment. Would you say this dawning of unconditional love, this unmanifest presence of no presence that one could have revealed to them, leads one into a different discernment, into different decision making, maybe a different response in the moment? Like, would you say a different kind of will that comes about, like a universal will toward that balance, rather than a personal will of trying to get something or be cool or whatever it is? It's like some kind of alignment to some kind of flow, some kind of universal flow. You know what I'm getting at?
Yeah, I think so. You know, your question assumes that we are off the path, and there is a way to get on the path or closer to something, to do something better or more in coherence with reality or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
So, and then there again, you have like it's like you're putting like a value into what is happening. So this is good. This kind of happening is good, that people are doing this and that. That's good. And this other thing, that's not so good. But I imagine that everything is already perfectly all right. It's not good, not bad. That's not what I mean. It's just, it is, coherent. That I use that word because I'm looking for a word that describes some kind of, balance or equilibrium or whatever, without using evaluation, without saying this is better than the other.
I see.
Right. So no matter what experience a person might have that affects the like the future or whatever. So when I had this experience of like not being there, so I didn't have that experience, but when that happened over here to this body, right? So there was this moment of like a couple of hours where the character Wojtek was gone and it was like super clear that this is all right. Like everything is perfectly fine. And there was so much relaxation. It was like, and I thought it was about something, you know, I thought it was really important to do that stuff. And it's like, no, everything's cool. So there is still a memory of that moment. And that memory, of course, somehow affects, it seems to affect the choices, which are no choices, but it affects the story that's coming up in this brain. It somehow affects, it seems to affect what this body does and what it does not, what it says not.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not that I'm choosing that. It's not that the body is choosing to behave differently. There is no other, nothing else is possible. It's just this kind of happening. It's the only thing that is happening. Nothing else is possible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, so there's no one doing it. Like you could recognize that there is no one within here quite doing it, but there's still a trajectory of energy, right, that is coming forth from this sense of no self. You said maybe it might be from this certain memory, right? I think that's kind of what I'm trying to get at. It's like, would you say the energy changes up in how it expresses itself once there is some kind of dawning in one's life? And I know I'm speaking general again.
Yeah.
So excuse me for that. But would you say like the will is different? Like there's some kind of abiding toward a universal will, and like you said, how somebody speaks and the actions and maybe their career and whatever the humanly vessel does while it's here. Would you say there is some kind of switch in that realization?
Yes. Stuff changes somehow. So the experience changes, like the preferences of this body somehow change.
Yeah.
And
but it's not personal anymore, right? That's what you were saying. It's like you're not changing. It's hard to explain, but it's like you're not changing. It's just there seems to be a change that occurs, and it's just some kind of natural outflowing.
And this change comes together with this clarity of it was change all the time already. Before this experience, it was the same thing. So in a way, nothing changed. It was life all the time. It was this present moment already, like for eternity. So nothing changed.
Yeah.
And everything is changing at the same time.
There's the paradox again.
Yeah. Here we go.
Wow, man. This is good stuff. This is a good talk. Damn, I don't even know what to say. I don't even know what to say now. This is what happens in all my non-dual talks. I get to a point where I'm like, well, hey, man, what is there to say?
Yeah, and nothing wrong about that. As I said, I like those moments of silence because it's sometimes silence is more powerful than any word that we could say. Sometimes every word that's coming out is just distracting from this present moment. Every word is like somehow moving the energy into this mental realm, into this brain, and it's working and thinking about stuff. Awareness is up here somewhere in the mind. And, sometimes silence is bringing you here and now. Because sometimes I think silence is louder than anything that can ever be said, or any noise that ever can be made.
Yeah, more resonant.
Yeah.
I agree. Damn.
Nothing to say.
Nothing to say on a podcast. What kind of podcast is it?
It's the silence, the podcast of silence.
That's funny. It's just hour-long episodes of people just nothing.
Being quiet.
Just being
breathing.
Quiet, breathing, maybe laughing. Yeah, I don't know how that would do with the viewers, but
yeah, and
I get it.
I've seen a couple of interviews from Jim Newman with Jim Newman, and it was so entertaining because Jim has this really fascinating gift of just like pulling the rug under the feet, you know, pulling it away, and like somehow any question that you could ask Jim, he will point out that this question is not valid. So, and what is left to ask when there is no question that's the right question? What's left to ask? Nothing.
Yeah.
And then the only thing that's left is just silence. It's just this present moment. I love that.
Yeah.
It's really, really good.
It's a rather extreme way to tackle it, but I can see why one would tackle the whole non-dual idea in that way, to really just dismiss all seeking.
It is, I imagine it's a very direct way and very, very frustrating. So
yeah,
some brains are so trying so hard. Like my brain was trying really, really hard to get it, you know? So I think that this kind of extreme, this extreme form of the non-dual message was a perfect fit for this brain, because it had this like a clash. Like, you know, you're trying very hard, you know, okay, you know what? You will never get it. And like, what? I will never get it. What do you mean? Like, this is not for you. Even if it will happen, it won't happen to you. Like, what?
I see.
So it's so like super frustrating, you know, but I think that's also some kind of, that's the value in it somehow as well. Like when people hear this message and they are really, really angry and frustrated. So that's actually something good. I mean, you can see it as something very valuable, because the brain needs to be frustrated. So I imagine it needs to be frustrated to get out of this illusion of I am here, I'm in control, I know what is happening. So no, forget that.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. That's what the brain does, man. We just want to get to a point where like, this is it. I got to figure it out. That's the answer. He gave me the answer. I know now. I know. But there is no knowing. There is nobody that knows anything. I guess that's the point. If there is a point, is to escape the, how do I put this? Escape the idea of you are somebody that has to know something. So just dismissing the question outright, I can see it's valuable. I mean, I guess that's the purpose of Zen koans too, and getting back to art in that way. It's to really just get out of the seeking, get out of the like needing to the need. I think we mentioned that as well. The need to be somewhere or do something, to know something. It's just to realize that the only thing that we can figure out is that we'll never figure it out. There's nothing to figure out. There's no one to figure it out.
yeah, it's falling apart. Yeah, right. So
yeah, be here now, man. That's really what it comes down to.
Yeah, I also like this idea of relaxation, you know, like just relaxing into anything that is happening. That's what I think, that's what also meant with this term of letting go, like letting go of everything, just relaxing into everything. Like when I'm happy, when I'm angry, when I'm sad, whatever comes up, you know, whatever happens, when my body feels good, when it aches, just relax into that, like relax into everything that is happening.
We almost become it in a way.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, become it. Yeah. So it's a couple of days ago I had this. So what was happening? I had this like, it was like an experience or feeling like I was losing my inside, you know, there was somehow there was no inside anymore. It was just the outside. So I was like flipped inside out. Wow. So that's what this idea of the sense of being someone somehow changed. And I was like, okay, so there is just this here, and there is no position inside of the body.
Yeah, right.
Weird.
Yeah, there's no center.
Yeah.
Or maybe another way to say it is everywhere is the center. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. This is good stuff, man. I want to ask you this: if we can try and go with like a simple way, not I guess just a layman that doesn't know any better. They hear our conversation like, what are these two loonies even talking about? Like, what's why you know why? Now, if you could pitch this to someone that has no clue, they say, why would I want to lose my sense of self?
Yeah.
What would you say?
Wow. I don't know what I would say, because the decision wouldn't be made by me, you know, and so it's somehow the moment decides if I'm talking about that or not. So I had a couple of conversations with people who I tell myself now that they weren't open for that somehow. They didn't want to hear that. So there was no connection for that. And it was a weird conversation. And so sometimes, yeah, I have this like a very subtle feeling of, okay, I think there's an opening for that now. So maybe I can open up that topic and see what happens, you know?
I see.
And yeah, and it's a perfectly valid answer in this situation to say you don't want that. Why would you ever want that? That's nonsense. No,
Yeah, I got you.
Forget about that, dude. Like,
Yeah, I got you. I guess maybe I was asking about like incentive. So you would say there is no incentive to this, because we're talking a lot about it. So this is obviously hypothetical too, and I'm not trying to like challenge you or anything. So, but I'm just just having some fun here. But I guess I'm trying to think of somebody that has no clue. Like, be like, what? So you would say there is no incentive. Don't even think like that. Don't grasp to that. Like there's no point in even wanting to attain the unattainable, I guess you could say. Say just don't even go down that route.
I would say if there is a calling, let's use that term. If there is a calling, there's a calling. If there's no calling, there's no calling. So either it's happening or it's not happening. And both are perfectly fine. So it's not about convincing people to have a look into non-duality or whatever. It's not about that. No. For me, I like the story that why I also like to have those one-on-one sessions is to somehow be in a service position, like to help people to stabilize their experience, because it can be very how can I put that? It can trigger anxiety. It can be very destabilizing for the psyche, you know? So for me, it was very good to have people that I could talk to and talk about my experiences and just have this resonance of everything is fine. Everything is going really well. Just relax. Everything is going to be fine. Like that. That's really, I like that.
Yeah.
Because I think there are a lot of people out there who are having experiences and not knowing what is happening. They think they're getting like sick or whatever, and they have this mental thing going on. And you know that the book from Susan Siegel, Collision with the Infinite.
No.
I recommend this book, because she's describing her story that herself fell away. So she fell away somehow and did not know what was happening, and had like over 10 years of therapy until she met a Buddhist monk or whatever. And he told her, listen, you are perfectly fine. And something very cool happened actually. So, and that stabilized her.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well said. Just relax. It's going to be okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man. You know what? Hey, on that note, I think we can probably wrap it up. I think it's a good point to wrap it up at. Do you have anything you want to say other than that?
No, I'm good.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah,
Well,
cool.
hey man, yeah, I appreciate you coming on here. I think this was a good talk. Keep doing your thing. I wish you all the best. Yeah, I don't have anything else to say either
Yeah.
other than thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much as well. Yeah. Thanks for reaching out.
For sure, for sure. And thank you to anybody that listened this long. That's it. Peace and love. It's all gonna be okay. Just relax.
Everything is okay.
It is okay. Peace and love.